Welcome to Champagne Problems. We are your hosts, Robbie Shaw and Patrick Balsley. Thank you for joining us on this journey as we explore our mental health, well-being, performance, and longevity, and how our relationships with alcohol can influence each. No shame, no labeling, no judgment, just curiosity.
Welcome back, lovely listeners. We have a really cool episode for you today. We will be speaking with Taylor O'Neill, CEO of Richard's Rainwater, the first and only FDA-approved distributor of rainwater for consumption. Richard's began down in Austin, Texas, and has since expanded all over the country, being sold through retailers like Whole Foods, Sprouts, and the like. From what we understand and we'll learn about today, Richard's Rainwater is the cleanest and healthiest water that we have access to. This will be a cool one. Let's go to Taylor. Taylor O'Neill, welcome to Champagne Problems.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, man, we're happy to have you. So, give us a little background on Richard's Rainwater and tell us what you guys are about and how everything y'all are doing is related to the non-alcoholic beverage movement, man.
Sure. We've got a little bit of an interesting story relative to most startups because our company's actually been around technically since 2002. And our founder's journey with harvesting rainwater started in 1994. He moved to Hill Country, Texas, and he was disgusted by the hardness of the well water and the chlorine and contamination of city water. And so he built a home rainwater harvesting system and ran his entire house for his wife and himself on rainwater. And then the neighbors started coming over and noticing that the water tasted better and the dishes were cleaner and just asking him questions about what he had done and how he had done it. They started asking him to install those same systems in their homes. He did that for 20 years. And Richard and his wife, Susie, are pretty stereotypically hippies and do things that you might expect the first people in the country that harvested rainwater for any kind of application might be like. And one day he got to thinking, like, why can't I bottle this? Why can't I bring this to more people in more places? Why can't I travel with it on job sites easier? Why can't I buy this in places? And started the process of working with the TCQ to get the first rainwater harvesting bottling permit in the country. It took him 4 years to get the first application approved. And then after spending 4 years doing that, he did the opposite of what most business people might do, but the exact thing that most hippies would do, which is he basically spent more time caring about harvesting rainwater and working with people that sort of shared his ethos of the world and his fondness for cleaner water. They were some of the coolest people in Austin, a lot of really awesome hospitality venues that folks that are listening to the show who've been to Austin have probably stayed at or eaten at, but not very many people. And then in 2017, myself and a couple investors got involved as Richard and his wife were ready to retire. They were 70 years old and working only 3 days a week with 3 employees, but even that was getting to be more than they wanted to do. So our largest investor bought the land that their hand-built bottling facility was on, and we committed to giving it a shot to take their concept and expand it well beyond the Austin market. And we've done that. So we harvest rainwater at 2 facilities now. They're both breweries. We've got several more on the way, and we're hoping to build a decentralized network of rainwater harvesting sites spread across the country so we can move the water the least possible distance from where we capture it and bottle it to where the consumer drinks it. Yeah. And how does it relate to sort of the movement away from alcohol? Yeah. Man, we sell a lot of our sparkling water and ranch waters with alcohol, but we sell an awful lot of those bottles to folks that are looking for a clean taste, something they can enjoy that has some bubbles, that has no alcohol in it. And some people make real fancy mocktails and, add fruit and herbs and things like that into the bottle. But other folks just drink the plain water. Folks always say that the water just tastes different. It's cleaner. It's a little sweet. And the bubbles last 24 hours after you open the bottle.
Yeah, I saw that. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, we think it's a great alternative. We think folks in the country need to drink more water, and we're trying to make the water taste as good as possible, so that's as enjoyable as an experience as it can be. And luckily for us, we seem to be getting that feedback very consistently from people. So it's a big part of our mission to provide great beverages that are actually clean and actually healthy to people who are trying to clean up their life and help their body function at its optimal level.
Yeah. So give me a little background on the process and how, like, what kind of makes the value of being attached to a brewery, like how did that kind of come about?
Sure. So the process is pretty interesting, but in many ways very simple. So the water cycle works the way that you learned about it in fifth grade. It's all the water that exists on this planet goes through that cycle, and it has gone through that cycle since the beginning of time. So we're just reusing and regenerating the same water over and over again, right? And a rain event is actually a cleansing event in the atmosphere. So the most important part of our process is we have a sensor that figures out when it starts raining, and that first bit of the rain event flows through the natural stormwater management system at the location where we're collecting rain. And then after that, after a certain period of time, there's a valve that turns automatically, and the water ends up straight into our collection tank. From there, we have designed really a proprietary treatment system that's just a sequence of filters that it is zero waste from a water perspective, and we don't use any chlorine in our treatment process. So the finishing sort of touches ozone, which is just O3. It's just oxygen,
Yeah.
but it acts as a natural disinfectant. And so the benefit of what we're doing is you can think of it sort of like the solar power of water. It's harvesting the rain at its cleanest point in the process, using as much of it as can possibly be used, and using it in a renewable way where we're actually additive to the amount of clean water that same raindrop would have created had it sort of went on its way into the retention pond or down the stormwater management system. So it's quite interesting in a world where weather patterns are changing. Water is increasingly hard to get in certain areas, and it's increasingly contaminated,
Yeah.
particularly when it hits the ground. So it naturally produces more water, and it produces cleaner water than other types of processes. Why breweries? We think we can do it at all different types of bottling locations, but the concept is capture the rain straight at the place where they have the equipment to turn it into our products, so that it doesn't have to move. And we help them make their facility more economically sustainable, more environmentally sustainable. And it's been a pretty good thing for us. We've found that the brewery folks are great partners because they very often share sort of a culture of creativity and
Sure.
community that this concept is naturally built for. But we do think we'll end up talking to all different types of bottlers over the next several years. And the important part is, how much does it rain, how frequently does it rain, and how big is the area that we're able to collect the rain, because the amount of water that we collect is actually just a math formula.
Yeah.
Every time it rains an inch, we get about 550 gallons of really clean water per every 1,000 square feet of area that we're harvesting the rain on. So that's a lot of numbers, but at the end of the day,
Yeah,
it's
no,
it's
that makes
actually quite simple.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What are the health benefits of rainwater compared to just, like the normal water that we have access to?
Yeah, it comes down to the purity and just what's not in there.
Yeah.
And so our water is extremely clean, and therefore your body can use it in the cleansing process that it naturally goes through on a day-to-day basis. And we're not filling you with chlorine or other types of contaminants that are increasingly found in drinking water and sparkling water on the shelf. So I think that's the main benefit is we like to say drink water for what's not in it, eat a healthy diet, and get your organic minerals that way. And if you can combine, a well hydrated body with a healthy body from a food perspective, you're going to be in the optimal place in terms of health and wellness.
Tell me a little bit more about how you got involved in this and what was kind of the pull towards this, and also, I know this is kind of two separate questions, but I don't want to plug any of your competitors. But are you guys the only ones doing this? I mean, is this like something that you can kind of patent, and it's like, hey, we're the only ones that are allowed to use the rain? Like, how does that, how are you guys pulling this off?
So, in terms of how I got involved, prior to Richards, I'm a recovering finance nerd, so spent most of my life in investing in some form or fashion, either as an investment banker, as an investment professional at corporations or investment firms. And I had worked for today still our largest shareholder, whose name is Steve Kuhn, at one of those investment shops, and he'd retired to focus on charity work and playing pickleball and investing
Nice.
his own money. And I linked up with him to help him do some of that work. And one of the causes that he's given a lot of money to is clean water, primarily in Africa, but really all over the world. And so when we heard about Richard and Susie, we had no understanding of a consumer packaged good company or what had to happen, but we were very drawn to the idea of making water cleaner and making it more available and doing it in a way that was productive for the community and productive for the partnerships that we've built. And then in terms of competitors and how it works, Richard has helped a small company here in Austin years ago get up and running, and they're doing something similar to us on a smaller scale. But we're in the process. We've recently gotten 4 more state approvals. We have a approval in the state of Texas, in Mississippi, and in Louisiana. And then we're in the process of systematically going to the rest of the states in the country and explaining this concept and getting their buy-in. So moving along sort of the scalability and the introduction to this concept from a regulatory perspective. And in terms of, competitors or other people or patents, in many ways, what we hope we're going to do here is just be a leading consumer facing example of a common sense solution.
Yeah.
And so we're hoping that our success will lead to more rainwater harvesting and lots of different concepts for really positive reasons. And so the Tesla building here in Austin was built and harvested, I think, 25% of their rainwater from that facility. There's a climate pledge arena in Washington State, is a hockey arena that has made significant investments in sustainability. They harvest rainwater and use it for their ice. We think potable rainwater is a huge benefit, but rainwater harvesting is one of the only ways to take that natural cycle, the water cycle, and make it more efficient and better able to be used for people across all the different reasons why water is important. So I think that the more success that we have, hopefully it will lead to more adoption of the concept. And that's typically what happens with good ideas.
Yeah, I was thinking this could be scalable on a more kind of humanity level to do a lot of good and bring clean water to a lot of places, that might not have it if you guys can get the technology going.
Exactly. So it's used in places like islands every day, all day, in every home already. So it's a pretty sensible concept that just requires a little bit of effort and money and an interest in being involved in making something better.
Is the just out of curiosity, is the filtration process or the way that you guys kind of clean the water, is that expensive? Is that like a
relatively expensive, not crazy. And a lot of that is just the regulatory reality of bottled canned water. in some of the installations in folks' homes, both in Texas and in other places where it's a more common application, the filtration is significantly less than what we do every day to sort of adhere to the standards and the quality metrics that we have internally and that the folks that regulate us, want to see.
So tell me more about your product line and kind of, where it started and where it is now and what we can, look coming down the pipe.
Sure. So today we sell our sparkling water in 12-ounce glass bottles at the retailers that we're found. So we're nationwide with Whole Foods. We're in HEB, Central
Nice.
Market, Albertsons in Texas, some regions of Kroger, Fresh Market. It's available on Amazon and should be available in more places throughout 2023 and beyond. And so that in retail, it typically comes in a 12-pack of sparkling water, sparkling rainwater. And we also sell our still water in aluminum cans, 16-ounce aluminum cans. So we were one of the first companies to eliminate single-use plastic bottles and strive for a better answer from a sustainability perspective in terms of the packaging. So you should be able to find both of those products today on the shelf at a lot of locations where listeners may be grocery shopping. And yeah, I mean, water as an ingredient, water is the most consumed compound on the earth. So it's important on its own, but it's also a meaningful ingredient in all kinds of different things. And so I think as you see us add more and more collection sites across the country, harvesting more and more rainwater, it'll be natural for us to add other products to the line that will be powered by water harvested as rain. So more to come on that. Nothing imminent because we're fortunate to have a lot of interest in the sort of just the core SKUs that we're currently selling, but certainly an opportunity for Richards to take our ingredient that we're creating and turn it into other products for people.
Cool, man. Well, let's talk about a little bit more about you, and can you kind of told us a little bit of your background and how you started with Richards, but like, what's your kind of like personal take on the health and wellness movement, and where are you at personally in that, and how is your your career aligned with that in terms of what you guys are doing at Richards?
Well, I have a 2.5-year-old daughter and an 8.5-month pregnant wife and a startup. So I would say I recognize its importance, and I
I've been
can
there, man.
I can feel the days where I get up and get a workout in and start the day the right way. I've been impressed with all the influencers that are doing the cold baths and things
Yeah,
like that.
Robbie does that.
Yeah. So I'm aware of it, and honestly, it takes focus and planning and in some ways sacrifice, just given the commotion of the environment that I described is my sort of day to day. But I will say, you definitely can feel mentally and physically when you're on it, and you take that time and you dedicate an hour for yourself during the day to make sure you're as healthy as you could be, and you eat right and you drink lots of rainwater. You function better, and it's just a matter of prioritization and making sure it's part of the process.
Yeah. Are you guys attached to any like health and wellness movements? Like, we're primarily in the alcohol free, space. But is there anything you guys are kind of doing with that, or anything you personally maybe?
We certainly try to get ingrained in those communities. I mean, like I said, we have a pretty large portion of our business that are sold into bars, restaurants, and hotels, coffee shops. And one of the areas that we've tried to support where we can, but would love to support more if anybody listening has opportunities, is particularly folks who've worked in hospitality and are making an effort to be able to do that, but do it without getting drunk all the time. So we try to be involved in those groups and support that initiative with people that have or are working in an area that we service as our business. And then I think the other one is maybe just pretty obvious, but people aren't drinking enough water. And so we'd like our products to be helpful to that reality, generally speaking. And so I think, that we're a water company. It's obviously good for us if people drink more Richard's Rainwater,
Yeah.
but we believe that it's a material ingredient to overall health. And so our goal is to, make products that people like and that taste good and that are actually healthy so that they can drink more water and be healthier.
Yeah. So how big's the company right now? Tell me a little bit more about the culture and kind of where you guys are, what the vision looks like for the future, and if there's anything around, non-alcoholic beverages that could be in play there. I know you guys are doing some work with breweries. Do you have are people using like your rainwater or your products to create? I know there's obviously ways to use it to make mocktails and non-alcoholic beverages like that, but do you see any room in the future for you all to move into like the NA beer space, or like really market something as a true like non-alcoholic beverage other than it just being rainwater?
So we get approached all the time
Yeah,
about people
but
that want to make a special version of something they're making, but do it with rainwater instead of whatever water they're using. And those partnerships, I think, will become more possible for us as we get more and more collection sites. Right now, we bottle and can everything we're collecting into our current formats. But whether it's a product that we create ourselves or a product that we partner with somebody who's already got a great brand and build a rainwater ingredient into something that exists, I think you will see us do stuff like that over the next couple of years. It's a great space. It's a great space both for helping people, but some of those products are also really tasty and good things that we could make money or at least support somebody
yeah,
else with a great mission, to make their product even cleaner. And those kinds of companies remind me a lot of the breweries in terms of their interest in and shared alignment around community and around higher quality products that are creative and interesting and both good for the planet and good for people. So I guess more to come in terms of what that will specifically look like, but I definitely think you could see us doing that. And then we do a lot of these, maybe not so much the non-alcoholic beers, but some of these like new age, what do you call them? Like
botanicals.
Botanicals.
Yeah,
Yes, you got it. You can buy like their single serve SKUs, or you can buy their like concentrates,
yeah,
right? And when you buy the concentrate, you very often mix it with sparkling water to dilute the concentrate. So we've got some folks here in Austin that we've worked with and try to partner up on events and things like that, where it's a real natural alignment for exposing consumers to both of our products. And there's some great ones out there that fit really nicely with what we're doing.
so tell us a little bit more about like your own relationship with alcohol and how maybe Richard's played a role in that or has allowed you to kind of dial it back, or what's your alcohol like consumption look like or relationship look like?
Yeah, I drink alcohol, but it's helped me, I think, both at social gatherings, have a
Yeah,
drink and then have some Richard's Rainwater, or during the week it provides something that I drink all day every day and is a really nice alternative to the evening whiskey or wine or
yeah,
beer. And as I said, I do consume alcohol. I have not given it up. I've done things like Whole30 or dry this or dry that as
yeah,
a nice like break completely from consumption. But I am I guess an alcohol user. I'm not sure
yeah,
if that's the right way to
yeah, yeah,
describe it. I
yeah,
have not given
yeah.
it up in its entirety.
That's all right, man. It's just about, being aware of our relationship with it and how it affects us. And
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest area that I see, I got one of these Aura rings. My wife got me one of them,
yeah,
and it's not. I'm not. I wouldn't call it like the most data oriented health and wellness thing. It's not like giving me all of the biometrics and things, but one thing it really does is it highlights how you slept.
yeah,
And I would say I can definitely see, if you're going 4, 5, 6 days in a row with zero alcohol, like the sleep score shows you that it definitely affects your
oh
ability to
yeah,
get a great night's sleep,
yeah, for
even a
sure.
relatively little amount of alcohol. And so I think the combination of having something like Richard's, I make tea with Richard's Rainwater at night. That's something that I just have found is kind of a nice alternative for me.
Have you made any like non-alcoholic like mocktails or anything with Richards or the sparkling Richards yet?
I'm pretty simpleton when it comes to that.
Yeah,
I add
yeah,
some
me
lemon
too.
to it. Yeah, I add some lemon or some lime, like real lemon or real lime.
Yeah,
But I'm very unlikely to be like making a multi-ingredient herb infused product at night. I'm pretty
yeah.
straightforward. And I just like the unflavored variety enough that it seems to work for me pretty well.
What's the I don't know, this may be a stupid question, but what's your kind of pulse on the scene in Austin around like non-alcoholic stuff and the health and wellness movement?
One thing I can say is some of these non-alcoholic concepts in CPG have raised a lot of money and seem to be getting a ton of interest across
Mhm.
sort of the landscape. And so what that tells me, without having seen tons of data or being able to speak super intelligently, is usually when there's a bunch of interest from investors and money that folks are putting to work, it means there's a real consumer interest in that, and they're seeing trends across the country that suggest this is an area that people are moving towards and interested in, and there's an opportunity to create better products and products that people love. So I think that's my like best sort of personal
Yeah.
observation about the space down here in Austin. I mean, we're a college town built on hospitality. I am certain that the wellness movement is like alive and well. There's a great gym down here that we partner with on a number of things called the Collective. That's like a social and wellness sort of concept all underneath one roof. And the interest that they've generated and in creating a community around that, shows me that there's tons of people down here trying to be healthy and surround themselves with other folks that are trying to pursue those kinds of life decisions. But there is admittedly also just a
Yeah. Tons of alcohol. Yeah. Sure.
bar, restaurant, club, high consumption places, and there's definitely still some of that.
Yeah, we had Chris from Sands Bar on. Are you familiar with Sands Bar? It's a non-alcoholic bar in Austin.
Okay.
You guys should check that out and figure out a way to, maybe get involved with them.
How do you view the alignment of like this movement away from alcohol and the increasing acceptance of like low dose THC and CBD? And I've seen a number of those products starting to come into Texas, like the
Yeah.
Delta 8s.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we got it here too.
Yeah, and I've seen and read about some bars and concepts sort of like the non-alcoholic bar you described that are being considered in that
Yeah.
area. Like, is your view generally that that's healthy and good, or
It depends on the person. So, I'm in recovery. I got a long history of addiction. So I'm a total abstinence guy. Like I don't mess with anything. But, from a health and wellness perspective, or even if you look at this like in the clinical world as a harm reduction thing or movement, um, obviously, or maybe not obviously, but alcohol is definitely worse for you than THC, but it really depends on the person, and it depends on age of first consumption. So there's a lot of variables. I mean, and it it depends on someone's personal relationship with it. Are they using it to self-medicate, or are they using it, recreationally? For me, I definitely think it's better than people going out to bars and getting hammered. But there can also be some negative consequences to that too. I mean, I think there's plenty of room for people to have fun without any of that stuff if we gave ourselves space and opportunity to do that. But it kind of sucks that, we're pulling back on this kind of like alcohol based cultural trend, and then THC's coming right up behind it to kind of fill in the gap, or even, I don't want to say ruin the opportunity for people to experience what it's like to not be on anything. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be the same thing. There's gonna be a big wave of people using THC, and then the consequences of that will be as they are, and then people will take a more high level look, or and they'll start seeing the patterns, and then we'll adjust as a society, just like we're doing right now with alcohol. So, but I think we're moving in the right direction. That's for sure.
And
Yeah.
then what about it, like how could Richard show up best for people that are looking to abstain?
Yeah. Well, I mean, these are great questions, and I'm glad you're asking them. I think the best thing to do is just get involved in the health and wellness movement as much as possible. And learn as much as you guys can about the culture of that in your own community first, and start there. And then to kind of tailor products towards that movement, and really get into the community, and ask, what they need, or what they want to see, and then kind of take that feedback and maybe make some products out of it.
Yeah, I mean, the community around the folks that I know that are deeply ingrained in health and wellness is very consistent with the community that we want to build. And
Yeah.
we're in a unique position because as we get more and more of these sites up, we're going to be local to more and more
Yeah.
places. And I think, so much of community in today's world is built online, which in my opinion has its own consequences or
Mm-hmm.
realities to it. And I think we're missing, coming out of COVID, still really in a lot of ways, the human part of what community means, and showing
Yeah.
up and being present. And so our opportunity is to partner in more locations than the average company can partner in, by virtue of having physical home bases in lots of places.
Yeah.
And that offers really good opportunities to show up when people are in need. Primarily for us, when there's a water related issue, which is happening more and more and more. We're having these water boils, we're having extreme weather events, we're having energy grid problems, and we're having municipal water infrastructure challenges like Flint and Jackson, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are opportunities for us to provide some relief and some help. But it's also, yoga events and
Yeah.
running clubs and
Yep.
gyms and all kinds of things that we've participated in as sort of brand activations here in Austin and in other places. And I probably need to attend a few more of them. I'm getting a little fat myself, but
Yeah. Me too.
but it's cool to see people doing that and just going to a park and finding a place to be together with other folks and to do something healthy. And then, I think it helps a lot of things, physical health, but also mental health for sure.
Yeah. Well, we definitely appreciate you and appreciate you being here, man. And we kind of end typically with one question with all our guests. So I'm going to ask you, Taylor O'Neill, why do you care?
Oof, man, with my wife about to have another one. I think a lot of my care revolves around the little people these days, and trying to set a good example for my family, but also be a part of communities and concepts and products and business that I can feel good about being part of, and that hopefully means we're making progress in really important areas, and building a future that my kids will be able to thrive the way I feel like I've been afforded that opportunity. I've been fortunate to grow up in a great family and great community, and I think those things have shaped my life, and hopefully we can continue to pass that on to people that are immediately close to us, and in many ways, everybody that you come in contact with is an opportunity to show up and be a good person. So certainly not perfect, but it's pretty motivating when you got the little 2.5-year-old running around the way that they do, and sharing their perspective on the world is very innocent, very authentic, and a really good reminder of how we can treat people every day.
Yeah, we got to be good stewards for them.
No question.
That's beautiful, man. Well, we appreciate you being here. How can we find you guys?
We are on all the sort of social media platforms. We've got a website you can actually buy the products off of. As I said, sold in Whole Foods and H-E-B and Central Market and Albertsons and Kroger in several regions. And you should see us popping up in more locations outside of Texas this year. But we'd love to answer anybody's questions about what we're doing and how we're doing it, how it's different, better, special. Just get in touch with us on our website or via the email or any of our social channels, and somebody will get back to you quickly and look for our products where you're shopping. And we'd love to hear the feedback after people drink Rainwater for the first time. It's always interesting and exciting to hear what people think.
The information and opinions shared on this podcast are solely those of the host and guests and are not a substitute for medical advice. If you feel like you may need professional help, here are some resources. Visit Patrick Balsley's practice, sanacounseling.com, Robbie Shaw's practice, eventiderecovery.com, or visit theblanchardinstitute.com.